Good morning, everybody. Saintsman here, the small van driver on the CX. It's Sunday morning, 19th. Got the Bible again. Week in the life of last week just gone. Tough week. I think everyone's having a tough week, to be honest. Yeah, you look at the other YouTuber guys who I speak to, and they've put videos out. Yeah, Dave at Anvil, and Andy P, both Manchester sort of based. Long wheel based. It's been a tough week. I can only work 4 days as well. I got a Wednesday off. Various appointments. When you're self-employed, if you get an appointment like a dentist or a doctor's, and you've got a chance of, you try and get all your appointments in one day. So I had diabetic nurse at 8:30. I had bloods at 9 o'clock, and at an hospital for the glaucoma in this eye with a consultant in the afternoon at the hospital. So Wednesday, day off, but not through pleasure, shall we say, but all good. Anyway, like I say, tough week. Did okay. That's all I can say. Monday, I'd got a job booked in, and believe it or not, I've been to Pershore a week last Friday, and that's where my van come from, and they hadn't got the part in, and they couldn't get the part until this week coming. And a job popped up from Northampton to Pershore. And I thought, well, there was nothing coming out Monday morning. It was 8 o'clock, at 8:30 pickup, and I quoted quite high on it, virtually £1 a mile, and got it. And the reason you get it, I think people look at Pershore and there is nothing. There's nothing comes out of there. So you're thinking, right, let's get going. It was a boiler from Trades, City Plumbing. I can't remember now, something like that. City Plumbing. Something like that. Yeah, boiler to a residential address in Pershore. It's a lovely drive, don't get me wrong. Beautiful drive, great for motorbikes. And then I did get a second job, and I got a second job from Alcester, which is Stratford way, Selfish. And I got a job from Alcester, probably pronounced that wrong, to Derby, and it was 2 small boxes. And again, got a pretty good rate for that. So I got out of Pershore, which was a good thing. I had to do 15 mile, 20 mile, dead miles to get to the next pickup, but it got me out of Pershore. And then I picked a little job up in Derby, about a mile from where I was, to Hucknall. It said Nottingham, but postcode was NG and whatever it was. And you've got to look at these because Nottingham, it's got a huge postcode area, and it was north of Nottingham, quite a bit north, Hucknall. And yeah, it's a fair bit north of Nottingham. And I should have looked again on the map because it took me further away from home. It was only, I think it was 20 miles, and I quoted 30 quid and got it. And it was 1 small box, that's all it was. So it topped my money up, and it made it a pretty good day-ish. But when I got to Hucknall, zip. I got there about 2:30, and I decided I'd sit there till 3 o'clock, and then I would start making my way back home, because there was nothing coming out of Hucknall. There was stuff coming out of Nottingham, which I bid on, but I was 15, 20 miles away, and there was about 7 drivers in Nottingham, and I still bid the price I bid. No good. So I started making my way home, and decided, was I going to stop in Leicester and see if I get a 30 quid job just to make target for the day? And I thought, what's the point? Now it was getting on. It was 3:30, 20 to 4. I just carried on driving and got home. And as I got home, there was a job on there for Tuesday, and there ain't been many jobs coming out of Northampton early. Northampton doesn't wake up. I've found this out until 8:30, 9 o'clock. So yeah, Northampton woke up, but there was a job on there, and it said Norwich, but again the postcode was a large postcode. And I looked, and it was nearer Thetford actually. And it's a shipper I know quite well, local shipper, logistics company, and really nice lady. And I quoted pretty high on it, not quite £1 a mile. And she phoned me up and says, "Yep, you want to do this to East Harling?" And it was a midi-van job, which my Doblo I class it as a midi-van because I can take two Euro pallets, and at a push, when I get the bulkhead out, I will get 2 standard pallets on there, no problem. The only reason I can't is because the bulkhead on the Doblo, when it goes up, it goes right out like that at the top, and it knocks about 20 centimetres off. But you take the bulkhead out, which I'm going to do when I come back off my holiday in March, I'll get two standards on there if I want to put two standards on there. And also, it can carry up to, it says up to a ton. Now, I've been on a weighbridge a couple of weeks ago. I didn't say this. I didn't tell you this. Went on a weighbridge. I went to a farm and it was a collection where it was a quarry. And I asked the lady in the site office, could I go on the weighbridge? I didn't want a ticket. I just wanted to shout out what I weighed. And when I worked out what the weight was with just me, and I'd got the fuel, I'd filled up, I'd got about 30 miles I'd used the fuel. I weighed myself, and then I weighed the van, and when I looked at the gross vehicle weight in the book, I can carry with me, fat boy like me, and fully fueled, best part just short of about 880 kilos. So what I'm going to do is say I can carry 850 max, which is a good payload. It says it carries a ton, but obviously with me and all the kit, all the stuff, I've got a lot of kit in there as well. So anyway, digressing. So it was for a midi van, and it was one pallet, one standard pallet, and a box. But when I got there, the reason it was a midi van, the load didn't sit square on the pallet; it overhung each end slightly. Fitted in my van easy. May have fitted in my Berlingo. It would have been very tight, and I wouldn't have got the box. So I've had to put it in the front. But yeah, no problem. It went in, box in, good. But it's a risk. It was a risk going to Pershore Monday, and it's a risk going to an area where there's not a lot of work even in the summer. And I was 8 miles the other side of Thetford. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was an industrial estate right in the middle of nowhere called East Harlin. And dropped it off, no problem. Forklift on, forklift off, and yeah, easy peasy. And then I went back, I decided there was three drivers in Norwich, and they'd been sat there all morning because I put my feed on and show. No jobs. I said they could either go to Norwich and compete for that. There wasn't one driver in Thetford, as in small van. In fact, the nearest driver was a long wheelbase. And I thought, if I go to Thetford, if a job comes in, there is a damn good chance I'm going to get it for decent money. So I drove to Thetford. There's some services there on A11 on the left. It's a BP garage. Anyone been in it? There's two services. One that's not got a garage and one that's got a garage. And I went in the one with the garage, and they got chickens and cockerels just wandering around the garage outside. So that's where I was. There's a Greg's there. Got coffee, and I sat and waited. And I waited, and I waited, and I moved after about 2 hours. I moved down the road. There's a Sainsbury's just the other side of Thetford. Decided to go in there, just a change of scenery, really. And half an hour there, a job come up. Newmarket to Cambridge. And I wasn't far from Newmarket, and it said paid £30. And do you know what? That's £1 a mile from where I was to the job being done. So I quoted straight away £30, and it was private hospital to a private hospital, which is easier than going to Papworth or Addenbrooke's, which is a pain in the arse. And I got it. And that took me over 40 quid short of my minimum target. And then I'm in Cambridge, and there is nothing. It is dead. And there's a fair few drivers around. And when you've waited 2.5 hours and you've got a small job that takes you less than an hour, you're just like, nah. So I binned it off and drove home because I knew I got Wednesday off. I thought, do you know what? I ain't sitting here for 30 quid. I can't do a long job. It's got to be somewhere local. I'm going to go home. So I went home. Piss poor day, really. Really piss poor day, Tuesday. But it's the time of year. It was the week before. I did 53 quid on the week before. Well, I doubled that and a bit. So improvement, I suppose. Wednesday, like I said, off. Thursday. Well, Wednesday, actually, I didn't have off totally. When I come back, I got back from the doctor's about 11 o'clock. And my appointment at the hospital weren't until 3:40, and you have to be there at 3:30. So I've got 4.5 hours, but I'm not looking at work. But funny enough, I was on there, and on my phone it popped up a job, and it was pick up 12:30, and it was deliver the next day, next morning, 8 o'clock, Battersea. Local shipper again, who hasn't, well, local logistics company. They ship the odd bit on there. They got their own drivers. And I thought, you know what, I could go and get that. And it was delivered 8 o'clock in London, right in the, well, Battersea, so right in the middle. And I thought I'll put a bid on, and I put a bid on it, and he phoned me up quite quickly within a couple of minutes and said, "Yep, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Can you get it?" I says, "I can get it within half an hour," which I did. I went and fetched it, and as I fetched it and I got it, he put it on. Within 10 minutes, the phone went, and I thought, and I knew it was from him. I thought, "Oh, what's going on?" Said he cancelled. No, he said, "When you drop that off, you're taking a new one. It's a mannequin for a shop in Battersea Power Station." He says, "You're taking a brand new mannequin because they've broke one." He said, "The broken one," he said, "they want return. It needs to come back to me. Can you do it?" I went, "Yeah." And he paid me good money to come back. Not the full money going down, which was well paid, well over £1 a mile, well over. Um, and with the money coming back, it was £1 a mile for everything. So that's London back, Northampton, London back, £1 a mile. Yes, please, I'll do that for you. And then he came up with another thing. He says, that when you're picking up the mannequin, he said, if you get anything on the way, he says, as long as it's back to me by 4 o'clock, he said, I don't care if you get another load, if you make your money up. He said, it's a good opportunity for you. So, brilliant. So, Thursday, we left home early. I left home really early because London, you got to get across Vauxhall Bridge, down by Park Lane, all around Marble Arch. You got to get there. And I left at 5 in the morning. And you got to get there before 8, really. And it said 8 o'clock, but before 8. And I drove all the way down there. I stopped at the services. The last services, I had an easy ride down there, use the toilet, because there's no toilets on the way into London, not unless you go into a supermarket. And yeah, I got there at 7:30. And it is a pain in the arse. Security, very big on security. And I got there. Got tipped. And they can't come to the loading dock because they're shops. You have to go through a myriad of back tunnels. I was on the lower ground. I've got to go up to the ground, find the back door. It was a number. There was about 70 numbers. And we got there in the end. It's just a bit of a faff. And knocked on the door, and he got to undress the mannequin. The shop didn't open till 10, but he was there anyway, the manager, and he undressed this mannequin, and it broke the rod in the back of it. So we swapped him over. Out of there, I decided that I was going to travel straight away out of London, get back across Vauxhall Bridge and go north. And I wanted something north. But the mannequin was quite long. It's 6 foot long. Even then it come apart in half. It was still in a box that was 1.2 metres long. So I weren't going to get a pallet on, and I weren't going to get nothing massive on. But if there was a job on there, said a car will do, no problem. I would have done it. And there was. A job come up from London, North London, near Tottenham's football ground, right near Tottenham football ground. And by then, I was at the top of the Edgware Road anyway, just short of the M1, the other side of Kilburn. And it was to High Wycombe. Not really north, sort of west, but it said car will do. So it was only 38 miles, 42 miles all in. So I quoted 50 on it and got it. He phoned up. I said, how big's the item? I says, because I'm going to tell you, I've got a mannequin, I've got a box on the back. I said, but it hasn't got to be delivered to Northampton until 4. And the person that's given me it's given me, carte blanche to co-load. I said, so he said, it's documents, mate. He said, yeah, that's fine. He said, as long as our job's done direct. I said, it is. I said, I'm going to go to your job now, pick it up, take it to the address. And it was the solicitors in High Wycombe. I said straight away, there's no diversion because this other job is not going to be in Northampton till 4. So that's brilliant. That was 50 quid I earned. And it was. And bless it, it was a little old lady. She'd got to be in her 90s in a block of flats. And it's the flats where they have the garages on the ground floor and they have to go up one flight and they're over the garages. Luckily, she was on the first floor, but the lift was out of order. She comes to the door she got a walking stick. Yeah, very frail. Yeah, just make me feel a bit, you know, sad when you see someone there living in that. But she got a community around her. Hopefully, she's a good. So we picked the documents up. I phoned her when I was at the bottom to tell her who I was. That I was just going to be about a minute knocking on her door. And she okay, very frail voice. Oh, look, lovely, So she knew I was going to knock on the door. Who it was. I told her that I'd got a high vis jacket on. So when she opened the door, she knew it's me. And I showed her my phone, so look, this is who I am, where it's going. She was fine. So we did that one. to High Wycombe and dropped that in High Wycombe, no problem whatsoever. Massive company in the middle of High Wycombe. And then I thought, right, that'll do. I'll drive back to Northampton, see if I can get a job, drop this off, this mannequin, because it did restrict what I could co-load. Couldn't get a pallet on or anything like that. And I thought, I'll see what else is going. And I got back to Northampton and dropped that at 1 o'clock. Done, finished. So I'd done 2 jobs. I'd hit target, and I thought I'm ready to do something else now. In fact, I was just slightly over target. But I phoned the wife up on the way up, and we got 2 grandchildren. She got them for the day, which is a 6 and a 5-year-old boy. From one's from one daughter, and the other's from the other daughter, so they're cousins. And when they're together, they run riot. So I said to my wife, you know what, I'm going to have early finish. I'll come home. So I did. And we took them swimming because we live on a holiday park. We've got a lodge and we've got a swimming pool, which is open and the water is like the bath. And it's got a tube for the kids, play area. So we took them swimming. I said, let's go. So the kids loved it. We had the grandkids loved it. We had a great time. And I said, well, I'm going to get out the pool about 2:45. I took my laptop, it was in the vehicle. I said, you carry on with the kids and I'll look for jobs for the next day and have a coffee while I'm waiting. And you can look over the swimming pool. So that's what I did. And I got a job for the next day. And it was back to London. For Friday, it was Northampton to Plaistow, or Plaistow, East London. And I got it. I put a bid in, really strong bid, because it's London, East London on a Friday, and got it. And while I sat there, the wife had got out of the pool. One of the daughters was picking both kids up. Gemma picked the kids up, and they got out of the pool. And while they were getting dried and ready, it was about 4 o'clock. There was a job popped up. Northampton NN4 to Northampton NN3, 6 miles. And I thought, well, that's right where I am. The delivery point was literally 400 yards from just the other side of the A45. And it said pick up 5 o'clock. And they were coming out. I thought, you know what? I could do this. I could just drop the wife back home. We're on the same site, and I could be there for 5. But I thought, you know what? Is it worth it? So I put 30 quid on it, thinking someone will do that for 20 quid because they do. No, the phone went. So I hadn't quite finished that day. So yeah, drop the wife. Easy. No problem. And I've been to the place of pickup. It's a parcel distribution centre. You have a reference number. They bring it. It was going to a residential address. It took me 30 minutes, the whole job. Everything. From leaving my house to getting back to my house, 30 minutes. And I got 30 quid. So that really made that a really good day, Thursday. And I've got a Friday load. Early-ish start. I was picking up at 8 o'clock Friday. So Tuesday was a pain in the arse day. Monday was an okay-ish day. Not bad. Thursday was a good day. Over target. Over my 200 by a few quid. And then we got to Friday. Friday's always busy. It's foot down Friday. It's beginning to get a bit of a cliche now. It's foot down Friday because you literally can hopefully get job after job. Hopefully. So I bought this job to Plaistow in London. Pick up 8 o'clock. Well, it was 8:15 time I picked up, and the time they put it on and everything. And it was going to a medical centre in Plaistow. And it was taking brackets for Acon units, what they sit on, the brackets, what the big units sit on. And they've got 8 brackets, quite heavy as well. They've obviously got to be. So we picked that up and done that. I got Plaistow. I was in Plaistow by 9:45 and done, delivered. The engineer wasn't there. He hadn't even arrived on site, but the practice manager, quite happy to sign for it because he said, I'm glad you're here, because that means they can get straight on when they get here. So we've done that. And I parked at Sainsbury's. No, I didn't. I parked at McDonald's, just up the road, grabbed a coffee, and the jobs were pinging. They were pinging around London. 20 jobs was on there. You can get a bit, is the word snowblind? When you just can't see the bloody trees for the forest, really. But I flicked through them. Anything London, I'm looking from London East or Northeast London or nothing west of London because you're never going to pick it up. Flick through. There was jobs into centre London, which is not ideal. You get good pence per mile, but it just takes you forever. So Then a job popped up, Dagenham. And Dagenham's only 4 miles from Plaistow. And it was Dagenham to Chesham to Bicester, which suited me fine. I thought that's really, that's the job that gets me out of London, gets me nearer home. There was a job to Burton-on-Trent that was going from Romford, somewhere that way. It was a fair way to go, 25 mile to go, but it was going to Burton-on-Trent. I'd quoted on that as well. The phone went, and it was the Chesham and Bicester one, which suited me fine. It meant I got pretty good money. I got good money for it. It was 83 miles. It was 80, something like that, 83 miles all in, including me getting there. I quoted 75 because I wanted it. I thought I could probably go £1 a mile, although I weren't going into London. Once I got the load at Dagenham, it was up to the M25, around the M25, and up the well, it was across the A41, and that way to Chesham first. And I quoted 75 for 83 miles and got it. And he phoned up and said, "Yep, no worries." He says, "It's just from a builder's merchant. You're picking up stuff to go to two other like builders merchants." So, okay. And it was straightforward. It took me a while. M25 Friday, we all know what that's like. So it did take me a while, but got me to Bicester, and Bicester's only 35 miles from my house, cross country. You got the A43, it's a bit longer, but there's a cross country route that motorbikers will know. You can take. It's a really nice route, and I thought, am I going to get anything out of Bicester? I'm now looking to go home because I wanted to get home Friday and done. And I decided, you know what, I'll sit in Bicester for a bit, which I did. I sat at services at Bicester for about 3/4 of an hour, and not one job. There was one from Banbury to Daventry, which would have suited. I quoted competitively on it, never got it because I checked who was nearby, and there was drivers in Banbury. They're going to quote less than me because they're on the job. I've got to travel probably 10 mile, 15 mile. And I decided, no, you know what, I'll knock it on the head. I'm come home, have an early finish. And I was home and done by 4. So I did 8 hours max, and a lot of that was hanging around. And it wasn't bad money, actually. It worked out okay. I hit my minimum. And my minimum's 150. I try and do 150 winter. That's well, it's not minimum, it's a target in the winter because it is harder. Whereas in the summer, it's 200 a day. So that was my week done, finished. Not quite, actually, because before I got home, I stopped and pulled over at Toaster. There's a McDonald's there. I didn't actually buy anything. I just pulled out in the services there and put the laptop on for the next day, for Monday, to see if, or anything really, coming out. Pick up Friday, deliver Mondays, nice. And I got a job from Wellingborough. Well, it's Rusden. Job from Rusden to Slough. Pick up 7 o'clock Monday morning, which is good because it means you're going to be in Slough at probably 8:30, 9. And then Slough's a good area Monday. I quoted highish on it again because it's going towards London, and I got it. Virtually £1 a mile. Yeah, and they phoned me up and says, "Yep, you can do that. 7 o'clock pickup. Yep, no worries." So all in all, an all right week. Brilliant day yesterday, by the way. Let's digress totally because it's a Saintsman's channel, and Sale were kicking our ass. We went to rugby yesterday, so I'm a bit hoarse. And Sale were kicking our ass at half time. Manitoulin got sent off after 15 minutes. They still battered us. And at half time, we were 24-7 down. And at full time, we won 38-34. So, what a day. Great day. So that made my Saturday, that did. And today we're going to potter out in a bit. So that's all good. But the whole week I did, in 4 days, not 5, because I didn't work Wednesday, 912 miles in total. I did without VAT 643, with VAT 771. I paid 9%, which next month will be 10% to the HMRC. So my final earnings after giving my tax to the HMRC was 718.02, which works out about 70 pence every mile, which for the winter I think's okay. It's good. I'd like to push that up to 80, 85. I was getting over 80, 85 last year in the summer, 90 a week. Right up until November, December, I was still getting 80. But you've got to cut your cloth accordingly this time of year. And your expectations, if you're expecting to do that money, you ain't. Because there's not the work out there at the moment and there is lots of drivers. So, yeah, okay with that. And it's funny, I looked at last year and I did 600 last year. This time I do weekly reviews. So yeah, not too bad. January for me was a washout because I blew the van, the turbo on the other van, had a week off, had a few days off here and there. Work was tough, so January was a bit of a washout. So I am behind the eight ball a bit, but catching up. Fuel prices are still relatively good for me. Um, my fuel prices the week just gone. My cheapest fuel was £1.50.54. That's including VAT, all in. So fuel, Mullows fuel without that's 125.45, which works out at 150.54. So I'm paying £1.50 for fuel, which at the pump diesel's still about 170. So it's 20 pence a litre. So it's a no-brainer having a fuel card. I don't understand people not having a fuel card, to be honest, because it only cost me that fuel card cost me £1.20 a month, and that's over 10 months, 12 quid a year. They give me 2 months free, 12 quid a year. That's UK fuels. That's when I got it. I don't know what it is now, but I've had this card now over a year, and it's UK fuels on the Texaco fast fuel. Next week's fuel is again, it's without that, it's 125, so it's virtually the same. So still good. So all in all, yeah, it was an okay week. I've had the last 2 weeks. I've had doctor's appointments or dentist appointments, and it's restricted. I can't even stay out. I'm not tramping yet. It's not that sort of weather. But next week, at the moment, touching wood, I have got 5 days. I haven't got no appointments booked. Nothing's on. We haven't got anything to pick up, so I can do full 5 days, hopefully. So I hope you like the videos. The last video I put out, I don't know what I put on there, but my God, it went a bit viral in America. Uh, I've had taxi drivers in America saying, "Well, I don't know why I've been recommended this channel, but I really like the gist of it, and I'm subscribed." And I had 50 or 60 people, and they're nearly all for America. So I don't know what I did, what I'd said, because I never look back, always look forward. And yeah, it's gone viral. So if you like, please subscribe. You ring a bell apparently, and you get notifications. I don't know. But it's all unedited. I never edit anything, as you can see. Still in the back bedroom, come the office, which is one of the grandkids. When they come, they stay in this room. Um, have a great Sunday, and we're back on it next week. If you have any questions, I will answer them. I spoke to a couple of a couple of guys last week. Graham, chatted with him Friday. He's thinking of swapping vans to a smaller van from a large van. I hope that goes all well for you, Graham. All I can do is offer my advice, what works for me. I hope it works for you, mate. And chatting with a few others. Check out all their YouTube channels. Most of you subscribe pretty much to all our channels. It's great. And if you've got any questions, I'll try and answer them. It's just the way I answer them, the way I answer them is what works for me. It may not work for you. I hope it does. Speak soon.